This podcast is a member of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts and content creators, visit bio.link/Red5.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. Coming to you, as always, from deep within the Outer Rim, far beyond the watchful eyes of the Galactic Empire. My name is John Mark Tully, and joining me today, as always, is...
Garrett K. Jones, the one and only, and I apologize in advance because I lost my voice over the weekend, and so at some point I'm sure my voice will crack, and I'll sound like I'm going through puberty all over again.
Well, anyway,
that was a little bit too much information. I'm sorry, guys.
That's okay. Oh, wow.
Today we are talking about the newest episode of The Bad Batch.
We are, which I mean, this was, the more I think about it, I really want to go back and watch it again, because this could be probably some of my favorite Star Wars that's ever, to be a single episode to be on screen that I've seen in a long time. This was just, I really, really enjoyed this episode, and it was good to see Crosshair back again.
Yes, I agree.
We what do we call him? Our favorite psychopath.
Yep, and he is most definitely our favorite psychopath.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just seeing in just the two episodes that we've seen I think we've seen so much character growth from him in just two episodes.
Yeah.
Like just how he's growing as a character. And I'm just going to come back right now. I think what would be interesting is if he is the first one to turn rebel. I think that would be an interesting turn if he's the one that gets the rest of the batch to turn fully rebel and become full, because it looks like he's turning that way too. I mean, it looks like but from a different viewpoint than what the rest of the Bad Batch is. They both seem to be going towards the same destination, the same destination point, but they're going there in two completely different ways. And I think it'd be interesting if it's Crosshair is the first one to kind of make that leap and go full, rebel.
It would be interesting to see for sure, because I mean, this episode really, I mean, I don't know how much you want to give away, but this is really interesting because we see from the very beginning that he's being mistreated, and it's not the first time he's been mistreated by a commanding officer, because it's something he experienced during the Clone Wars. It's something that he's experienced since the Clone Wars. But at the same time, he is starting to see more and more that he is one of the rare. He's an oddity because he's a clone.
Yeah.
But and there's a conversation with him and the clone commander that's at this outpost. And when he asks him what unit he was with, he says, "I was with Clone Force 99." And as soon as he says that, like that commander already knows what's going on with that. He already knows that there's some history there, and so to see that, to hear that, it's kind of cool because they're having this conversation, and they don't need to have. I mean, there's a little bit of shorthand to it, but there's no additional explanation needed. But the fact that the clone troopers are being so mishandled by the Imperial lieutenant that's on station is you can see that it's starting to wear thin.
Yeah. I also it's interesting that even though the commander technically outranked that lieutenant, that wasn't the way it was going down. I mean, that lieutenant was just going to be like, "Hey, I'm the human, I'm in charge here."
Right.
And I also thought it was interesting. He always would refer to him as just lieutenant.
Yep.
Lieutenant. There was no respect given, no Yeah, it was just
Yeah, there's a very interesting. The dynamics are there. There's a tension, and you can see like Crosshairs is one of those characters who he's itching to shoot something or someone. That's what he does, and you can. It's not exactly like an addiction where like he gets an itchy trigger finger and he has to go shoot something just to scratch that itch. But you can see it in his head. He's working out all the angles of where am I going to have to kill you? When is this going to happen? What weapon am I going to use?
Yeah.
And eventually it comes down to the fact that he just uses a basic sidearm, not even his rifle. He uses his sidearm. And he's just like, "Hey, Lieutenant." And the lieutenant's like, "What? What do you want?" Boom. Done.
I mean, my question is, does the Empire purposely hire the dumbest officers in the world, in the galaxy?
No,
I mean,
not, but they do. I mean, because obviously Mira in Andor is not stupid by any means.
Oh no.
I will say this: they tend to hire the most arrogant.
Yes. Well, I mean, we kind of saw that in a way that's almost by purpose, where you have all the officers fighting amongst themselves, for the table scraps, that it keeps the eye off the Emperor. That anybody who might have designs on the throne, they'll be fighting amongst themselves for that second little promotion, and not so. That was almost by design.
Yeah,
to kind of get those kind of weaselly type of people. I mean, we see that throughout history. I mean, look who little mustache man surrounded himself with.
He surrounded himself with little fellow psychopaths and sycophants, but
yeah, exactly.
Well, and cult of personality is always gonna generate something, but
yeah,
the main difference is that for Palpatine's a little bit more strategic than that. It's not just a cult of personality where he becomes super popular with a particular crowd of sociopaths and narcissists. He's specifically cultivating he's cultivating a specific type of officer that they're ambitious enough to get the job done and to make it look good, because they know that if they don't, they're on the line. But at the same time, the fact that you have these different personalities clashing with one another, it creates enough competition to distract them from the real goings on. No one's going to really start questioning it until it's too late.
I thought it was also interesting, kind of going into the vein that we've gone through with some of these episodes where, it's like last week it was Star Wars meets Alien meets Kaiju movie. This year it was Star Wars meets The Thing. Did you get John Carpenter? Not necessarily, just the vibe of it being set in kind of like this remote outpost. The atmosphere to me was very much John Carpenter's The Thing.
I did get that wintry atmosphere. However, for me, the connection I made was The Gray, starring Liam.
Yeah,
because that's more winter survival, and because we weren't dealing with a monster or anything like that. There's no life form. It was just people are you're dealing with the wildlife, you're dealing with the terrain, you're dealing with the weather, and those are the things that are going to kill them faster than any other danger.
Yeah, and just knowing that those clones have been there for who knows how long, and by themselves with no reinforcements coming, none on the way,
no other supplies.
They probably at that time, if they had a Jedi, they probably already killed their Jedi, because they probably already gone through. We don't know if they've been there since Order 66 or after Order 66. We don't know how long they've been there. and but they had to have been there for a while because the one clone commander already had a pretty full beard going on.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
So,
and so, yeah, I think, was there anything about this episode that stuck out to you as something you didn't like?
I mean, to me, this would just be nitpicky, and I know the reason why they did it to move the story along, but and this is just me personally. Like I said, I'm rambling here, but the fact that it always has to be a completely incompetent imperial leader.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a trope that I understand. I understand why they did it for the episode, but I think there comes a time where it's like, okay, we get it. A major imperial empire like that wouldn't be able to survive for as long as it did if every lieutenant and thing was completely as incompetent as this guy was.
Well, to be fair, the empire only lasts for 30 years.
True. That's true.
Not a very long time in the span of things. Think about how long the Republic had been there.
Yeah, this is true. Palpatine. This is true. And like I said, that's just like a nitpicky thing.
Yeah. The thing I liked about it is because Crosshair's whole mantra since season 1 has been good soldiers follow orders.
Yes.
That was the command that was embedded into their brains because of that ship. And because of Order 66. And that whole mantra, is something that now he's forced to have to deal with. He started leaning into that mantra, and now he's seeing the repercussions of that decision instead of joining with the rest of his team. And so now he's at a point where he has to decide what it means to be a good soldier. Does a good soldier follow orders, or does a good soldier follow their conscience? And deep down, despite the fact that he has his psychopathic tendencies, he's starting to develop a conscience.
Yeah.
He saw guys who were just like him that were being abandoned by the Empire. And this is even after Camino had been shut down. This is even after the clone forces were being forced to retire, being forced out of the military. He's one of the few clones still operating. And I mean, that puts him well past an expiration date.
Yeah. And
what's interesting is they were never geared towards having any kind of an expiration date.
Yeah.
Other than being killed in battle. And so looking at that, he's now being forced to experience a conscience. And it's something he's never had to deal with before. Because before that, Hunter was his conscience. And Hunter gave the orders. And so he was a good soldier. He followed orders. Now he's got to decide that for himself.
Yeah. Yeah, I never really thought about that, even with the rest of the batch now, that's kind of the way it is with the rest of them. Hunter is the conscious, and Hunter kind of steers the group. What about you? Was there anything that stood out that you didn't really care for?
I think the only thing I didn't really necessarily care for was the fact that, again, when they go into those caves, it becomes very, very difficult to see anything on your screen.
Yeah.
And we've seen it's almost like the animators went to the Game of Thrones season 8 school of animating, dark scenes, nighttime scenes, because like I tried turning up the contrast. I was watching from my phone. And I tried turning up the contrast as high as I could possibly get it, and it still didn't make a difference. It still made it almost impossible to see what I was watching.
Yeah.
And that was really frustrating for me. Other than that, I think the episode is fairly fairly flawless. I mean, the storytelling is great. There's a lot of good visual storytelling. There's a lot of good dialogue. There's some tension between the characters. The dynamics are amazing.
Yeah,
I think
that reveal. I mean, it was small. It was a small thing, but just knowing the ramifications when they find out what they were going to retrieve. The armor that could have been there, not just for the replacements, but could have saved a lot of their lives because it was new armor. It was
excuse me,
new equipment.
Yeah, it was new equipment. It was,
and then even more disheartening is when they finally get back. All the reinforcements that they've been waiting for probably, months, if not years, shows up.
Finally showing up.
Yeah. And they're human.
Yeah.
They're stormtroopers. Got those Gen 1 stormtrooper helmets on.
Yeah, they do.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. It's just so, it's sad, but at the same time, you feel a little bit of catharsis.
There's a little bit of catharsis there.
Yeah, when he shoots the lieutenant, and then wakes up in the cloning. Which, I mean, what's going to happen there? He's in the cloning facility with the cloning doctor or the doctors. Which she was new. It was last week her first appearance. The doctor.
Yes, it is. And what's interesting is I have a sneaky suspicion because if you listen to her voice, she's got the same Kiwi accent as Omega.
And
yes. I think she might be an older version of Omega.
Oh.
Now, I don't know if the actress is the same, but the voice is very similar. And so when I heard that, and when I see the face, I'm like, this kind of looks like an older version of Omega.
That would be very interesting. Yes. That's going to be, because they say Omega is the key to everything.
Yeah.
So that's going to be very, that's...
And the Empire is very much wanting to get their hands on her again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's been really interesting this season so far because up to this point, other than the Empire just kind of being there hasn't really been a big antagonist overall. I mean, the Empire, but it's just kind of been there. It's been more, you've had a lot of kind of adventure of the week and villain of the week, if you want to call it that, here and there. But up to this point, so I'm wondering if, as we kind of get down near the tail end of the season, if we're going to start seeing more of a definitive antagonist.
Well, I think we have been seeing a definitive antagonist. It's just it's been layered behind the scenes so well that we haven't been able to see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you look at it, who's the primary antagonist? It's the Empire.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at all of these things that have happened in these episodes, dealing with, going to Sereno and dealing with Dooku's treasure trove.
Yeah.
And the Empire is plundering it because they've spent how many millions, if not billions of credits on the last few wars. Okay.
Yeah.
So now they've got all this money that they've got access to because Dooku left it behind. And the only person who knew about it, is Palpatine. So of course he's going to give it some priority because that puts money back in his coffers. I mean, he doesn't care about it because he can just go and take things by force, but things cost money. Where better to get it than treasure that nobody knows exists? Okay, but then we have we see, the last time that we saw Crosshair was in episode 3. I mean, 9 episodes we've gone without seeing him. And
Yeah.
so episode 3, the solitary clone, he's dealing with those separatists who don't want to be a part of the Empire. They don't want to be a part of anything else. They just want to be left alone, and they're forced into it. And he helps force that. And he's seeing that the Empire is not the good thing that it's claiming to be. It's not bringing peace and order. It's bringing a hammer.
Mm-hmm.
And he's part of that hammer. Then as we're going through episodes 4 through 11, we're seeing more of the planets and systems that have been impacted and abandoned by the Empire, systems that should have been cared for but weren't, or systems that were completely decimated when they shouldn't have been. And you're seeing the consequences of what has happened with the Clone Wars, because the Clone Wars lasted for how many years? And
I think 4 or 5 years.
I thought they lasted longer than that.
No, because they started at the end of episode 2, and then by episode 3,
they were wrapping up. Okay, so maybe about 4 or 5 years, yeah.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years.
But then, as we're going through and we're seeing all of these different events, we're seeing that all of this is because of Palpatine's machinations.
Mm.
And now Crosshairs is finally seeing that too. He's seeing that the Empire that claimed him to be a valuable asset doesn't give one rip about him.
No. And what's sad is, despite what they're saying, they don't give a rip about the stormtroopers that are replacing them either.
They're cannon fodder.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why the TIE fighters were never given shields or hyperdrive, because they can make thousands of them and just put dumb idiots in them that will just go out and.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So regardless, I think this was a really good episode, and I'm curious to see what the next 4 are going to be like.
Me too. Definitely. While we have a little bit of time, I'll do a quick little 5-minute review on Mando.
Absolutely, because I've been wanting to talk Mythosaur.
Oh, I'm not joking. I know people say literally all the time, don't mean it, but when we're watching that and he's going up and I see it, I literally screamed out, Mythosaur!
I figured, like as soon as I saw him get dragged under, I'm like, okay, there's probably like a Dianoga or something, some other animal that's in the water, or maybe he just slipped and fell because maybe he's being clumsy. But because we've never really seen him in water other than that one episode where he meets up with the other Mandalorians.
Yeah.
When he's in search for Ahsoka. Yeah. But I mean, this was like just, oh my gosh, I saw that on screen. I'm like, it's a Mythosaur.
Oh, that was like, so cool.
I was in the middle of I was actually in the middle of substitute teaching a class, and the kids were all doing stuff on their computers, and I'm sitting there, I'm doing stuff on my computer, and I'm watching the episode because I had downloaded it onto my phone, and I had because I don't have any internet out there, so I downloaded it. I'm watching it, and all of a sudden I see the face and the eye of this Mythosaur, and I'm like, holy crap! And like a student nearby just turns and looks at me. I'm like, don't worry, I just saw something really cool.
Very yes. I mean, it was another really good episode, I thought.
But what I thought was interesting is the tone. There's a tonal shift between the 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
The first episode, the season premiere from 2 weeks ago, not a lot really happens. I mean, yeah, we have that action set piece with the dogfight.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. But for the most part, there's nothing that really pushes the action or drives the plot very well.
Yeah.
This one is more plot heavy.
Yes.
But one of the things I really appreciate about it is we're starting to see Grogu have a bit more mobility
Mm-hmm.
as a character, physical mobility as a character, but we're also seeing him being a bit more autonomous.
Yeah.
Like he's just told to leave and go get and to go get
Bo.
Bo-Katan, and he does that. He does that, but it's the fact that like he paid attention to what Mando was teaching him, points to where he needs to go on the star chart.
Yeah.
The droid responds. They get where they need to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's willing to brave going back into the cave with her to go get Din Djarin.
Yes. Yeah. I really like that. I like the kind of back and forth between Bo and Mando and Din, as they're talking about, their upbringing and, how she took the oath too. She did all of that, but they have completely different views on what it means and how,
Yeah.
it's just, I think it was a really good episode. I can't wait to watch the next one tomorrow.
Yeah.
And watch Bad Batch. Yes.
It's going to be so good. It's going to be so good.
Well, I guess we can wrap things up quick. Letter grade for Bad Batch.
I would give it a solid A+.
Me too, A+. Yeah, definitely the best episode this season. Which is, I think it's interesting that the two best episodes have been Crosshair episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? As a character, I like the fact that he's able to hold an episode by himself.
Yeah.
He's that captivating of a character, and he's that well written that he's able to hold an episode by himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So absolutely.
Well, why don't you tell the people out there where they can find you at?
Well, you guys can find me on a couple of locations. First, you'll be able to find me on Instagram and Twitter at GKJ_publishing, where I post about the books that I write, about all the things I'm doing on my YouTube channel, which is called GKJ Publishing. On that channel, I do a show called The Right Way, where we talk book recommendations, author interviews, and creative writing tips. Last week, I just had a really cool set of creative writing tips come out. This week, however, this Saturday, I have my 200th milestone episode where I get to interview Jonathan Mayberry. He's an award-winning multi-genre author who's worked for Marvel. He's worked on a bunch of other really cool stuff. And if you've ever seen the TV series V-Wars on Netflix, that's based on his work as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, as for us right here, you can get a hold of us by going to, first of our email is at warthestars1@gmail.com. That is also our Twitter handle. Check it out at warthestars1. You can check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Just search War of the Stars. Check out our Facebook page. Check out our Instagram. We're going to be probably putting up some stuff on Insta here coming up soon. Kind of work on that a little bit. If you want to support the show, go to our Patreon, patreon.com/War of the Stars, or go to our Spreadshirt shop and get our cool merch. Link is in the description of the show notes and in our Twitter on our Twitter page, Twitter profile page. Check that out. Check us out on Spotify and wherever other fine podcasts are heard. And of course, we're part of the Red 5 Network. Go to red5network.com for more information on all the shows. And that is about it. So always remember, this is not just my Star Wars. This is not just your Star Wars. This is our Star Wars. Until next time, may the Force be with you.
This is the way.